What we have here is one of the most exciting offerings that we've ever had a chance to broker, and also one of the more exciting stories to go along with it. In many ways, this is considered the superfractor of the Tom Brady rookie series. 2000, obviously the year Brady entered the league. All the various manufacturers, went and produced, their versions of this seventh round pick. And some of them obviously depicted some of these ultra rare parallels. The Fleer Showcase product line, which maybe got its start in terms of public prowess in '96 with 96 basketball and Kobe Bryant's rookie and the Showcase products that came out of that, and the Legacy Collection parallels, which were some of the earliest serial numbered issues. What a lot of people actually don't even know is there was a parallel of the Fleer Showcase, which is actually what they call their masterpieces, which is actually a one-of-one product, and that's what we have here. There's another one-of-one product, which is actually the Ultra brand Tom Brady one-of-one, though it's a card which depicts him in a Michigan jersey in his college days. Soup to nuts across the board. This is probably the greatest low serial number Tom Brady in the world, and one of the more prolific and important investment pieces that we've ever had a chance of brokering. It hadn't sold publicly. We think ever, or at least it's been 20 years or thereabouts since it sold publicly, 15 to 20 years. We'll talk a little bit about the pedigree of how this card came into our possession. But overall, such an amazing offering, which actually has an amazing story on top of it. Quickly just describing the card here before we get into some more of the details. You can see the sort of antiquated one-of-one stamping on the back by the manufacturer there. That was their one-of-one masterpiece stamp. There's a sort of a seal that is branded, with the Fleer insignia that goes over the top of it. And you can see the subgrades here as they broke down. Technically, it's only 0.5 away from a mint designation. The card is virtually packed fresh, just little bits of wear the extreme tips. The card itself with the masterpiece design, this backdrop, as you tilt the card, you see how it kind of almost has like a refractor coating. You can see how Brady's image kind of lights up his face and his eyes in the background. I mean, what a cool thing for a quarterback. The design is just a really neat design. The other versions of the Showcase depict this backdrop with various levels of detail. This masterpiece is a more like Stoics, sort of like softer design than some of the other versions from the Showcase product. There's a lot of different other serial numbered versions, but they're all a little different. Also with the masterpiece, this has sort of a bright gold foiling at the bottom, which is a little bit more sparkly. The standard issue is a little bit different foiling used. It's just a unique card that sort of depicted the issue. But then on the back is consistent across all different versions with the exception of the serial numbering, which is down here. What makes this card so interesting, and if you've read the descriptions already, you can see what we're testing, but this isn't the only copy. Also in our possession is what we believe is at least the second copy of this example. There are two. And you might ask yourself, how's that possible with it being a one-of-one? You can see the foil stamping on the back too, and we'll get into the details a little bit more, but this is what manufacturers did. You imagine if you're a manufacturer from the day and you're producing a one-of-one card, are you really only going to make one of them? No, of course not. You're going to make multiple copies because you don't know if one gets damaged or if there's a production error. So in this case, it appears that Fleer let two copies out into the world. So it's a one-of-one, which we actually believe is a one-of-two. Now, obviously, we want to analyze both copies to ensure authenticity. You have to play these very carefully to make sure one is not a forgery. And we've done extensive research on both cards, not only the pedigree and the lineage, but also the details of the card and the actual manufacturing specificities that lead us to believe that the cards are actually both 100% genuine. To play it further, we actually had our staff fly to Dallas, where Beckett is located. We actually took both cards with us just to get the second opinion, to ensure that indeed our eyes are not mistaken, that they agreed, and everybody is on the same page that these are two authentic examples. And Beckett, in that evaluation, asserted that yes, this is real. The details are just unmistakable. You call them like manufacturing flaws practically, but the the foil stamping on the backs of this they're absolutely identical. Looking at certain defects in the stamping functions and something impossible to, try to artificially replicate. There's even some details in the fine detail of the printing here, flaws actually in the ink and how it was used that exactly maps not only to these two examples but to virtually every showcase Tom Brady that we've seen. We have many other copies in the vault, so we've been able to compare this to about a dozen other copies. Everything checks out to be exactly as we would expect to be manufacturer authentic. But again, on top of everything else, there's a letter from Beckett attesting to the authenticity. So I think it goes without saying, that these cards are real. If there's any further doubt, you research that serial number. This card was graded in 2004. So it's not like this is a recent entry into the world. It's been around for quite some time. It just further attests to this, truly being the manufactured one of one, and being the real deal. It's just absolutely stunning, and it's one of the absolute museum pieces and more special offerings we've ever had. And the fact that you consider it to be Tom Brady's, masterpiece, a card with that one of one stamp, it might be the most important Tom Brady in the world. It's nothing against the champ ticket. Obviously, that's a more mainstream, identifiable issue, serial number to 100. But it's hard to compare something like that to something like this. This is the true, this is the golden child, this is the masterpiece. We just couldn't be more excited to be able to feature it to the public. Across the board, I encourage people to do their research, read the descriptions, look at the high-res images, and man, don't blink. Who knows if something like this will ever surface again. It's an absolute museum piece, worthy of the absolute finest portfolio.